Good morning, traders, and welcome back to the Sensa Edge, the only trading podcast that checks 13F filing so you don't have to, but still suggest you should, but because the market is getting trickier and the naps are getting harder and harder these days. Today, we are going to talk about one of the most underused edges in the market, paying attention to who else is buying, selling, and holding your position, not your dumb uncle's crypto bag or your friend's biotech moonshot politicians. The one whose assets tends to have inverse correlation to their morals. The one who allegedly don't insider trade, but also absolutely engage in insider trading because they made it legal for themselves. How convenient, right? So, here's today's message in a sentence. If you're not tracking what the lawmakers are doing, you are swimming blind and possibly into a net. Let's talk about the elected official, the people who definitely do not, absolutely not, never ever trade on the non-public information, except when they do, they file it late with a $200 fine and a shrug. The fun fact, congressional financial disclosure are public. You can literally pull up any of the congressman's trading history, Nancy Pelosi's trading history, which is starting to look more accurate than the most quant firms. Want another fun one? A handful of senators dumped hotel travel stocks right before public learned about COVID's global spread. Coincidence? Sure. And I'm sure I'm also just happened to buy gold miners before every geopolitical headline. Politicians' holdings matter for two reasons. They know things and they make the rules. Legislative schedules, classified briefing, economic briefings, information that moves market. If lawmakers buy solar stock 2 weeks before the clean energy bill gets announced, that's not a vibe. That's a signal. Following their trade is like having a cheat code. No, that's been partially redacted. You can even track through the websites, tools that aggregate these filings. Since the market lets you do that. Again, maybe avoid holding the bag after they quietly hand it off. Let me bring my screen and let's jump into it. Right here. Okay, give me a minute and then I should be able to bring the screen. All right, hopefully you're able to see my screen here. If you come to the sensor market, let me go here, sensor market, and then if you jump into the politician trade, this is where all the politician trade latest reports, once it is filed in the SEC, comes in. If you see here, the trades per politicians, which is ordered through the recent transaction dates. Congressman Mark Van Mullen buying in Capital One stock purchase on March 19th. He disclosed this on April 13th, close to $50,000 worth of stock. Marjorie Taylor Greene did purchase a lot of stocks here, which was all disclosed on April 11th, which is like 3-4 days before from now. Nvidia coming in somewhere around 15,000, Adobe 15,000, ASML Holdings, CMI, Merck, AMAT, Apple, Advanced Micro Devices, Devon. So you can see all these particular filings which is coming in. Again, you can jump into each of the congressmen or women here and then see how are the trades, how they are spread across different sectors and how they're traded in the last few years. You can jump into the current portfolio to see how the portfolio looks like. What is their net worth, how they are spread across allocation into different sectors and different companies, and how much they're purchased. Pretty cool, right? Let me bring back myself here and then let's go over a few other details. Again, people, all right, I think you can see myself here. All right. Again, but most people do ignore this as well. Again, you might ask, like, why do people ignore the politician trade? Because it's not sexy. There's no dopamine hit, no flashing lights, no MACD crossover, no tweet about or X about it. It's a few lines in a PDF. It feels old, outdated, and boring. But it's not meant to be timely. It's meant to be directional. These people aren't trying to scalp. They're aiming for a trend, policy tailwinds, and multi-quarter movement. If you're a short-term trader, this gives you a context. If you're a long-term trader, it gives you conviction or a reason to rethink your thesis. Either way, you're better off knowing than guessing. Again, cautionary note. Now, again, don't get carried away. Not every politician trade is a golden ticket. They get it wrong too. Congress people can buy meme stock like the rest of us. Some are less than intelligent. So don't copy, contextualize. If a politician buys a chip stock or a hedge fund triples down on the same sector while retail is still arguing about Nvidia's PE ratio, maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe it's time to look deeper. but always add your own layer of due diligence, especially if you don't have lobbying firm or a Bloomberg terminal on a speed dial. So homework for you. So meanwhile, the biggest edge might be hiding in plain sight inside every politician trade disclosure. So this week, pick 3 companies you are invested in heavily. Now look up the top institutional holders for them, whether any member of the Congress have touched them in the past 6 months. The result might surprise you, or at least they'll be interesting. Let me bring back my screen here and then show you how do you do that. Like, as you can see here in my screen, I'm jumping into your thing. Again, I picked up it. I go to the trade page. I picked AMAT, Applied Materials here, and then you can jump into top investors who are the top institutional firms who is holding this particular company. Very similarly, you can jump into the politicians, and then you can see who are the different politicians who has been buying, selling, partially selling at any particular moment of time. So this is how you can like track any particular company and then jump into the top investors and the politicians over there. All right, I think let's wrap this up for today. Right, that's it for today's episode on the Sensa Edge. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on the platform. Until then, stay sharp, stay skeptical, and remember, it's not insider trading if it's public disclosure. Again, just don't forget to file in for 45 days late. That's for the politicians. Trade carefully and allocate responsibly.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.